So I am on the hunt again. So first I have to make a stop. I have to make a stop at our storage facility to pick up some equipment for a customer. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the wife and I actually run a fitness supply company. And so I have to head over to our storage facility to pick up some equipment that we've sold to a customer. I think I need to get some resistance bands, some clips, and a few other odds and ends for this customer who is coming by tomorrow. But after I do that, I am then going to be on the hunt. And I think I may hit up a Half Price Books and then maybe a comic shop or two. The Half Price Books that I want to go to is a shop, or a store, I should say, that I haven't been to probably in 2 months. But I know for a fact that they're always getting inventory in. So we're going to head over there, see what we can see. Maybe we'll pick up some good stuff. And then again, I may hit another comic shop or two. And you know, as you guys know, I'll take you along on the journey with me. And then at the end of this thing, if I walk away with something, I will be certain to show you guys the books that I picked up. So that wasn't too bad. I was in and out pretty quickly. And now it is time to go hunting for some comics. We are going to head south. We're actually in, I don't know if this is Hayward or Union City, but we're going to head south right now to an area called Fremont, where we're going to hit up this Half Price Books. And again, fingers crossed that we can actually find some decent stuff. So I am here at Half Price Books. We're going to head inside and hopefully be able to find some good stuff. As I mentioned before, I've actually hit this particular shop up a couple of times. They have some decent books, and unlike many of the other Half Price Books in the area, they actually bag and board their comics, which I think is a good thing. Last thing you want to do, in my opinion, is to find a good comic and find that it hasn't been bagged and boarded and abused versus loved. But this is actually a good Half Price book, so we're going to head in here and see what we can find. So unfortunately, that was a little bit of a bust. There wasn't much in there, but thankfully I had a good signal, which allowed me to connect to the internet so I could check Key Collector app. But I didn't really find much of anything. There were 1 or 2 books that I could have purchased had I found some other things to kind of make it worthwhile. But at the end of the day, it really wasn't worth pulling the trigger on just the 1 or 2 books that I might have some interest in. So we actually walked out of here empty-handed. We're going to try to hit up another comic shop and see if we can have some better luck there. So fingers crossed. So that was actually a pretty cool shop. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything in there for me. They really only have new books, and all of the back stock are basically books that came out within the last couple of months. I think a shop like this is really great, right? And I say that because if you have like your casual reader who may have gone to see like a Marvel movie or something like that, that's walking around the mall, that's a great place for them to start, right? With all of the new books. I think it's a great way to hopefully draw in new people into the hobby. But for a collector, not necessarily the best situation, because it's primarily only new books, no real backstock. So it is what it is. It was time well spent. Great shop. I mean, in terms of cleanliness, organization, the lighting. I mean, it was a really nice shop. I wish I could have bought something, but again, I already have 2 local comic shops that I buy books from, so I didn't really need anything new off the shelf. But fun time, nevertheless. I am back in the comic book room, and I was all prepared to show you guys the books that I picked up today, but unfortunately, I didn't get a single book. And so as I was thinking about how to wrap up this video, which is after all a hunting video where I actually did not catch anything, I decided that I had to at least take some time to show you guys some books. And what I decided to do is to actually show you guys something that many of you have been asking for. As you guys know, I am working on a full run of Amazing Spider-Man, and people keep asking, will you please show us the books as, you know, a little bit of the run? And so what I wanted to do is, I don't have the full run just yet, but what I do want to do is to show you some of the lower number Amazing Spider-Man books that I have in my possession right now. I am in the process literally of getting 3 additional books that would also go into what I would be showing you, but I don't have those books now, so I won't be showing them. But what I am going to do is to show you the books that I have on hand. And what's interesting, 1 additional book actually showed up today, so we are actually going to unbox that, and I'm actually going to show you that book as well. So for those that have been asking to see my partial run of Amazing Spider-Man, this video is for you. So we're going to start things off, of course, with the number 1, that being Amazing Spider-Man number 1. I picked this book up. It was it early? It was the end of last year. I actually picked this book up. I actually got a pretty sweet deal on the book, right? Air quote deal. And by that, I mean, I was able to pick the book up before the prices were out of control. High, but not out of control. Definitely pleased to have this book in my possession. And I have to tell you, it is an amazing feeling to actually hold this book in my hands. And this book is probably a 2.5, maybe a 3 on a good day. But regardless of the condition, I love the book, right? Favorite character, favorite book, right? Well, Amazing Fantasy, but we're not going to talk about that today. The next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 2. I actually had this book on holds for quite some time at a local comic shop, and popped in there one day and decided to go ahead and take her home. This book is actually in solid shape. This book is probably a 4.5, if not a little higher. There was a little bit of a tear right here, about 3/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe. And outside of that, this book is otherwise in pretty solid shape. So again, a really nice book. And I mean, the colors just pop on that book. There's no doubt about that. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 6. Again, a lower grade book, probably a 2.5, maybe a 3 on a good day. This book actually has a little bit more of a tear, probably a little over an inch tear here. And a lot of people have asked, where's my thresholds? My thresholds in terms of how low I will go will depend upon the price of the book. But I am not necessarily afraid of tears in tape. I don't do detached covers and rusty staples and water stains, but a tear doesn't bother me as much, especially if I'm getting the book locally, right? It might be different if I'm buying the book online where I can kind of shop around, but many of these books I'm actually showing you are books that I have personally picked up locally here in the San Francisco area. Next up, I have Amazing Spider-Man number 7. This book is probably a 2.5 as well. Pretty nice book. In all honesty, we have something going over here where it looks like maybe something stuck to the book and then was pulled away. It's not really a rip, but there's definitely some additional paper that was left on this book. But again, a really nice copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 7. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 10. This is actually where you discover why J. Jonah Jameson actually hates Spider-Man technically, and it also has a wonderful story about the Enforcers. Really cool book. I definitely dig this one, and again, another local pickup. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 11. Really nice cover here. This book is probably a 4, maybe a 4. It's actually in decent shape. We have some things that are going on down the spine and across the top, but otherwise in pretty solid shape. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 12. And again, all of these books are in Mylar, so they look exceptional. But this one actually is really nice. We have some things that are going on right here on the spine. A little bit of some wear. There's some writing 2/11 over here. But outside of that, this book is in really, really nice shape. Really nice copy of ASM 12. Next up, big book. This is ASM number 14, first appearance of the Green Goblin. Some would argue Spider-Man's biggest enemy. Definitely a really cool book as he rides his flying broomstick. Again, this is a book that I picked up local, and this one might be maybe a 5. This one might be a 5. We may be able to get there with this one, if not a little bit higher. We have a handwritten date stamp here. 4/9 is the date that someone wrote on there. And I actually don't mind date stamps, whether they're handwritten or actually stamped on a book. I feel like it gives the book a little character, so I'm not afraid of a date stamp. And to that point, here is another one on Amazing Spider-Man number 15, the first appearance of Kraven. We have a 5/12 date on this one. Again, another really great cover where all the colors pop. This is the thick-waisted version of Spider-Man, as I always joke about, but a really, really nice cover of this book, featuring Kraven the Hunter and a special guest star, the Chameleon. Next up, we jump to number 16, Amazing Spider-Man. This is the first crossover between Amazing Spider-Man and Daredevil. Really cool book. Daredevil in his old costume, and also a decent read, I think, but definitely a cool book to have in the collection. This one might be a 5.5, maybe a 5.5. I think so. I think we could probably get there with this one. Next up, probably one of my favorite covers, and I don't quite know why, but I absolutely love this book. It is Amazing Spider-Man number 20, first appearance of the Scorpion. Really, really nice cover of this book. We need some cleaning over here in this area, and then there's again maybe something was stuck to it and then pulled off. It doesn't go all the way through, and I think that this is just like a paper deposit on the cover. But a really nice copy of this book, and again, another date stamp, 10/8. I actually did not realize just how many handwritten date stamps are on these books until I started going through them just now. So I don't know. Maybe there was something going on. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 21. Really nice cover here featuring the Beetle and the Human Torch. I think this is where the Human Torch thought Spider-Man was a bad guy and actually went after him. I don't know if this is his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man. I honestly can't recall, but this is a nice book. It is actually pretty darn white to be a book of its age. I have some books that are newer than this that don't look as white as this one looks. So definitely pleased to have that in the collection. And again, as I've said earlier, all of these books have been picked up locally. And I'm actually very proud of that, of being able to go out and hunt and find these books. I know that not everyone is that fortunate, so I definitely recognize that I am lucky in the sense that I have so many great books, so many great comic shops within an hour and a half drive of the house. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man number 24. I don't think there's anything really special about this book. It's actually not in a Mylar, and it should be. I think I ran out of Mylars at one point, and so this one didn't get the treatment, but I have a new stack of Mylar card that I just bought, so I'll actually drop this one in there. But this is, again, Amazing Spider-Man number 24 with a 2/18 handwritten date stamp. Next up, this is a book that I looked far and wide for and waited a fair amount of time before I actually picked it up. This is the first appearance and the origin of the Molten Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 28. Definitely a hard book to find in a decent grade. This one is maybe 2.5, maybe a 3, depends on how hard they grade it. There's definitely some wear down the spine here. Not as bad as what I've seen with other books. And we have a dog-eared corner over here. But this book, unlike so many others, was actually affordably priced, and it was in good shape, which is part of the reason why it actually came home with me. I'm actually in the middle of, to some degree, having a conversation with a subscriber of the channel about an upgrade version of this, which is something I did not anticipate doing for quite some time. But when opportunities present themselves, you have the conversation. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 29, one of my favorite covers. I'm a big fan of the water covers, and this is another featuring the Scorpion. This is actually the second appearance of the Scorpion. First appearance was in 15, and now he is back in issue number 29. And then the second to last book that I'm actually going to show you in this video is Amazing Spider-Man number 30. Some say that this is one of the most disappointing covers of the entire early part of the Amazing Spider-Man run. It's not that bad. It's not exactly good, but it's not that bad. But this is another book that is can be hard to find in a decent grade because it is a dark cover, but this is a book that I was able to pick up for a fair price. And so again, given the shape, given the price, made a whole lot of sense to add to the collection. So this is essentially where I'm going to stop for the moment. And now I want to show you a book that I actually received today as an AOK from a subscriber. I've actually already cut it open because, well, I was trying to avoid having to cut and open things up, but I need a few more additional cuts here, and then we're going to pop this thing open and see what is inside. So I tell people all the time, I think I've said it in multiple videos, I have some of the best subscribers around, and I am definitely very thankful for having this book sent to me. And it is well taped. I didn't realize that because I probably would have removed some of this, but hey, it is perfectly fine. Better to have a book that is well secured than one bouncing around inside of a box being shipped across the country. So we'll pop this thing open and we'll see what is inside. So what I'll probably do is I will probably over the course of additional videos continue to share with you guys some of the additional parts of the run for Amazing Spider-Man. My goal is to try to continue adding to the completeness of what I'm working on, while at the same time giving you guys, as best I can, regular updates. And I'm getting my first look at this book right now, and it is pretty darn nice. I definitely could benefit from a press, but this is a nice copy of this book. It really is. And you cannot beat an AOK. And it doesn't matter what condition it comes in. If someone sends something to you, you cannot help but be thankful for it. I see my good friends, the Enforcers, are back. So is the Human Torch and the Sandman in Amazing Spider-Man number 19. So definitely a cool book to have. I probably should have showed this one in order, but it got away from me. I was caught up in the moment of showing you guys my book. So this one just came in, and Spidey strikes back. Definitely a cool cover, cool book. I think I've read this one, but I may go back and read it again on Marvel Unlimited now that I have a copy of it. I'm a big fan of getting the book and then reading the book. Amazing Spider-Man is a little bit different because I started reading it at issue number 1, and I think I'm up to like issue 72-ish right now. But I want to go back and read this one again because now I actually have it in the collection. So definitely a cool book to have. Vika, brother, thank you very much for hooking me up with this. I absolutely appreciate it. This is very cool. This is very cool. So with that, I'm going to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so that you can stay abreast of all the content that I release on a weekly basis. Take care. One last thing. If you're interested in entering the Go Collect giveaway to win a copy of Iron Man 128 Demon in a Bottle, all you have to do is head over to the community tab, find the post with a link to MailChimp, click on that link, and then provide me with your name, your YouTube screen name, and the phrase Demon in a Bottle. And then tune in to the Ready, Set, Go preview show, which airs on Sunday at 7:30 to find out who the winner is. The criteria for the contest is that you have to be a subscriber to the channel, you have to be a resident of the United States, a resident of Canada, or have a mailing address in the US. That's it. Good luck.